Alright guys, good morning. Welcome to the next vlog. Like I said, I'm trying my best to be consistent as possible with that. So yeah, just woke up an hour ago, something like that. Getting posing down right now. And today is one of those days. Actually, it is more frequent than you guys might think, where I really don't feel like doing the posing in the morning. And that is the same, like even with training some days, there are days also, like sometimes there's like that imagination of like, oh, like if he's like if you're a pro and like all of that, like you need to love every minute, everything out of it. And I have days where I don't feel like training. I have days where I don't feel like doing this or that. And this is, I think, one of the main things of like, yeah, like what separates a lot of like, hey, like the average person versus like someone who really achieves something within the sport. And then again, it needs to be still something that like fulfills you in a way, right? Like I strongly also believe like, hey, like being a competitive athlete, it's for the minority, it's not for a lot of people. So if you do it and forcing yourself doing it while you don't really like have any meaning out of it, that is in my opinion a waste of time and you don't feel fulfilled with it. But if it gives you like somewhat of meaning, fulfillment, and you're going to yeah, do it, and there will still be days where you don't feel like doing it, but then hey, this why is so strong. And that is truly like what is like makes a major difference, like just showing up even though yeah, you don't feel like it. So that's again, like with the posing, I'm not the biggest fan of it. Most days I don't feel like doing it, but it is part of work. It is, I need to do it to to achieve what I want to achieve, right? So that is always one of the questions you need to ask yourself if you want to make the most out of it, in a way of like, what do I want to achieve, what I need to do, just doing it no matter what. Alright guys, so that is my current, yeah, most days like my first meal, pre-workout meal, what you want to call it. But I kept the strawberries way too long in the microwave, as you can see. It's still nice, so I mix it with whey inside, and then it gets like a nice like a pudding in a way. I put some dragon fruit inside, some honey, some peanut butter, and that is mostly my pre-workout meal. After this one, same thing, doing like the 3,000 steps, right? Like as you saw in the last vlog, that is how it goes. Like it needs to be in a way like boring, routine. Like it's very similar for me, like most days. So yeah, mixing all the way in all of that, and then steps, getting ready for the gym and the quad dominant session today. So see you later there, guys. Yeah, I brought my quads basically up to the next level. The main thing here is like having the basic understanding of like a little bit of biomechanics. You need to know of like what makes your quads work more, what makes your glutes work more, because it's very easy on squat patterns, like to have more glute involvement versus more quad involvement. Like there will always be a little bit glutes involved, there will always be a little bit quads involved, but the key thing here is like what we want to bias in a way, right? So let's say back in the days when I just started, I was thinking like when I'm squatting, that is all I need to do for quads. Like I just need to do quads and leg extensions. That is it to bring my quads up. I thought it for a few years, and my glutes grew a lot from squats, honestly. And then I was realizing after a while, yeah, like my quads are really lacking behind. And then I started to like really biasing it with like movements with like more knee flexion, with like having more torque also in that positioning, right? Like that is why we want to put our feet, let's say, as low as possible on a hack squat or pendulum squat. So therefore, we have like more torque at this bottom position where it's the heaviest, like a longer moment arm, and there's also like more knee flexion involved. So we want to initiate the movements like with the knees. That is like the main thing, and not with our hips. So let's say on a glute dominant leg press, that is why I put my feet higher. So I initiated more with my hips. So my femur, my knees I put closer to the chest. And on a quad bias movement, you want to have like your femur, your knees quite away from your torso, right? So you have like that angle, and therefore you have like a lot of torque, like a lot of like tension within that lengthened position at the bottom. And the main thing here is as well, like with your knees, you want to be a little bit careful that you slowly go in. Like more often than not, like the knees need to get used to it with like a lower feet positioning. And yeah, and from there we basically go. So that's the main things, like understanding basically like what is the main difference between what biasing here more the quads, what is biasing more the glutes in a way. So yeah, let's start with the leg extensions now. That's my first movement today. I just do one set here, super high reps, to just bias the shortened position. So I do like top half reps, just to get like everything I can get out of stimulus from like that shortened positioning. Then after moving over to the pendulum squat, that's my main quad bias movement today. 3 sets on that one with 1.5 reps. It's insane. It's like a half partial rep followed by the full 1 rep and so on. And then after I'm doing leg extensions again. So that question I got a few times. Why are you doing leg extensions like 2 times in one session? Main reason is like this time here I do it more shortened by top half reps. So I still have like leaving the mid range mostly out. And then after the pendulum, I'm doing it like I also put something here so I get like more range of motion and to make it somewhat more mid-range bias in a way. And also going into partials here. And then after sissy squats, that's it for quads. And then after we're moving on to lower back, hamstrings and calves. So yeah, let's get it down. Same thing here as like on the upper body session, 2 to 3 warm-ups. Also on the pendulum after, and then it's go time. All right. Also another nice thing is like on this one, like doing it before the pendulum, right again, because I put my feet as quite low on the platform, so it can be also like quite stressful on the knees. Doing the leg extension before that is also a way to like warm up my patella tendon more up in a way, so that's also very nice. Yeah, like 2 more warm-ups, then we go. Okay, final warm-up. And then we're going 15 to 20 reps on that one to area 0, total failure. And here again, same thing with reverse drop sets. Once I don't get it fully shortened anymore, means like once I can't fully extend my knee on top, I'm done. That is the plan. So right, a little bit more rest. Now slowly I start a little bit feeling the prep in a way of like fatigue is today a little bit higher, right? Like the same thing with the posing. I didn't really like felt 100% going to the gym today. And believe it or not, it's very rare that I wake up and it's after a deload maybe where I'm like, oh damn, I can't wait to go to the gym. It is very rare that I have like that, like what some people like have that fantasy of like, oh, you always need to be motivated. Like it's very rarely the case for me where I'm like, wow, I can't wait to go to the gym and or do this or that. It's like it's more of a thing of like I enjoy it, but more disciplined than like really like being like up for it. And that's the thing during prep because it's very natural to not be super motivated, right? Because you are putting your body into a deficit, and that is the last thing your body wants to do is like continue on doing that. So that is why discipline is such a basic thing. It's so necessary. And yeah, and deep into web, like your body tells you everything, like don't go to the gym, don't do this, stop it. So motivation is gotta get used to not being motivated all the time. Down, and also the seat, forgot to tell you that, like I put it a little bit more back, so I have my hips a little bit more extended, and therefore biting more the WAC fem, this part right here, and it just feels amazing. Okay, 57 for 15 to 20. There we go. Only one set, so I only have one opportunity. So I always, like every movement, I make sure I'm super focused, and that's a nice thing with training low volume. It's like you just have one take. Make sure that take is good. So let's do it. Okay. Good one. Oh, shit. So all my squat patterns, also RDLs, I do always barefoot. And the reason being for that is better grip, better feet pressure. So this means like you can see it like this. Imagine you're doing like a dumbbell press and you're wearing like cloths or something. It's the same thing with shoes. And therefore we can create, produce more force. We have better stability again. And it just feels better for me in a way. Yeah, and some gyms don't allow it. Like in my opinion, like you are here to train. So I think there's like nothing unhygienic or anything about it. Same thing with like fighting sports whatsoever. That's also totally normal to go barefoot. So yeah, let's go 3 warm-up sets. And then we're doing 6 to 12 with 1.5 reps, 2 plates. About to be go time. I got last week in like 10 on the first one, 8-8. So I will aim for the same thing. My knee's feeling very good today. Like some days, I feel like, especially like on quad dominant movements, there are days where it just feels smoother. On some days, it feels a little bit more stiff. It's very interesting. I think it's just depending on like how well like your knees and all of that are on that specific day. So yeah, 1.5 reps. Definitely hardest movement today. 3 sets. Oh, one thing as well is like, don't be afraid to let your heels just raise up by a little bit. And that's also a sweet spot of like, you don't want to raise your heels up way too much where you lose stability. By just raising them up a little bit, you can create more knee flexion in a way, and also a much better torque, like a much more lengthened base on the quads. So yeah, don't be afraid. Have front foot pressure, and yeah, and when you hit like once your knees can't travel any more forward, you are done. That is the same thing with RDL. So once your knees can't travel more forward and your knees start traveling towards your chest, it's like at this point it's just hip flexion and your quads are already fully lengthened. Oh! Yeah, it's crazy on lengthened by stuff. Failure comes so abruptly, especially when you do that lengthened by. Like, the more shortened by something is, the more you can grind through, but the more lengthened by, especially this one, it looks like RP6 and out of nowhere, it's done and you can't grind at all. So I know exactly where I wouldn't get another rep in versus where I would get another one in. All right, final set is going down, and I realize I need to do most of the talking at the beginning of the leg session. It's very hard to think clearly and talk in between sets, at least at the Pendulum. Let's see how it goes after that one. So yeah, let's get it down. I do the same thing here as well as I mentioned in the last video, like shorter rest periods. I was like 5-6 minutes, and it's enough. I have the same performance in. Most of all my knees stay warmer, and a little bit more cardio in a way for posing. I see it that way. Done. As you can see, I also aim for having zero clustering, just in the way of fatigue management while getting, again, the same stimulus in. Especially here, if you cluster, it can really fuck you up recovery-wise. So
Also easier to measure progress in a way, right? Like if you clustered, you don't know if you rested 10 seconds or 5 seconds on top. So continuous reps on everything. All right. Guys, back on the leg extensions. So here I use this thing to make it a little bit more mid-range bias in a way. So here I aim to go like as deep as I can, as much knee flexion as I can get in. Then I go up, and I maybe even do like a slight bit of partial. Like on the first set of these, like before the pendulum, I try to have like full on top lockout. And here, if it's not fully to the top, it's fine because I got already quite a good stimulus out of that. So here the main aim is like the mid-range. If I don't get the mid-range in anymore, I'm done. Myo reps, by the way. So 10 to 15 and then up to 20 into partials. Again, also 57. Let's do it. And that is like one of the worst myo rep movements you can do. Like the burn is just, it's torture in a way. Okay. Oh, fuck! Next movement is CC squats with 1.5 reps. I don't try to rest too long after like extensions on that, and 1 to 2 minute rest in between sets, so I don't have to get as many reps in. Let's do it. All right, next movement are lower back crunches. So the difference with this one, like let's say more like hip extensions, is the pad I just put higher, so my hips, my pelvis can't move freely. So I'm forced to move via my spine, and that is the main thing here. Like with lower back crunches versus hip extensions, the hip extensions is moving via your hips. This one is moving via your spine. So it's almost like ab crunches, but just in reverse. So you try to like flex in and then extend your lower back all the way. And I believe it really brought up my erectors in a way. It's like, yeah, like the most safe isolated method out there, right? Like with like deadlifts or things like that. I don't believe it's like the best movement for training your erectors. Yeah, you train them, but if you really aim to train them a lot on those, like the risk of injury is extremely high. So with this, we don't need to use as much load, isolated, and therefore, yeah, getting even better direct stimulus into that one. Let's get it down. Ah. 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 Yep. Yep. Ah. Yep. Yep. Ah. Yep. Next one will be seated leg curls with a reverse drop set. Then we do calves. And we're done. Yeah, like usually on my training post on IG, you don't see how fucked up I get during those sets. And now in the vlog, you can really see like, whew, like maybe on the outside, like the way I train, the training style doesn't seem as hard or taxing. But I tell you what, it is. If not, it's like it almost feels harder than like chasing low, like less like systematic fatigue, but more so like how it wipes you out afterwards as well. So like the recovery is better. Like when I used to train like more, yeah, like chasing loads in a way, I was a little bit more screwed up after training in a way the next few days, but more from a central nervous system fatigue. In this way, it's like it's a different form of fatigue. It's a different form of heart, I would say. Hard to describe, but whew. It's more like local fatigue in a way, I would say. Like the muscle you train is like more screwed up in a way. Switched out the hip extensions with the seated leg curls. The main reason for that is on the hip extensions, I get like a very weird sensation on my hamstring on top that is like almost whipping apart. I had like that hamstring injury last prep on the RDLs. So, and I had it happen like 3 times or something where I slightly pulled my hamstring. So yeah, my hamstring, like my right, both sides are very, very, very sensitive in a way. So the last thing I want in prep is getting injured. Like at all costs, I gotta prevent that, right? Not being anxious in a way, but if I feel there's a risk and there's a good alternative, I should take the alternative instead of taking the risk. And as well, I can't have full output on the hip extensions because I'm a little bit scared, because after like RPE 7, 8, I get like that weird sensation and I unconsciously or consciously don't push as hard. And here I can go all out. Like this piece is like a little bit more shortened by. So that's why on the reverse drop set, I can manipulate the machine in a way of like making it lengthen mid-range bias with doing that. So one main thing on the seated leg curl is I wanna arch my back a little bit and kind of like lean forward. So it's the same thing as like stretching your hamstrings, and this way you have your hips more flexed, and therefore you automatically make it more lengthened bias instead of like pushing yourself like too much back like this and extending your hips. You almost make like a lying leg curl out of it. So by being more like this, like more your hips more flexed, you make it automatically more lengthened bias in a way. So that is why I'm leaning in a way forward. And very important, you want to arch your back a little bit. You don't want to like wound in like this. You see this a lot of times, right? You want to remember the hips. You want to have the hip flex. You don't want to like just flex your spine. So yeah, first set, that's like 8 to 12 rep max. Once I don't get it shortened anymore, we are moving on. All right. Oh, and the fourth set you saw, I had to set up a little bit wrong with the seat. Seat was a little bit too much forward. So this pad, you want to have at around like right above your knee. It was a little bit too much here. So this means when you put it too high here, you have less stability here, right? This thing is only there to stabilize your knees. So you want to put this safety rack, or however it's called, like right around here. So this part here is stabilized as possible and makes it also even more efficient. Okay, we have one more set to go after that. Then we're moving on for seated calves. Session is going very good now. Like at the beginning, I was, whoa, like today was one of those days where I feel just a little bit fatigued. My body's telling me, yeah, a little beaten up, but that's part of the, like even the off season, I have days like that sometimes where you just feel a little bit more beaten up, and you need to know that fine line of like, okay, it's way too bad. It's like for a few days like that, then you should do a deload. But if it's just like one session, right? It's like everyone has like, it's normal. Like I see it often that people like get way too panicked of like, oh, I have a bad session, I have a bad day, I need to do a deload, da 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 da. But that is part of being human. We know robots. Like some days they're impossible to have every day going like on Super Saiyan mode. Going now for the final set. Man, I'm so happy that I swapped that out with the hip extension. So now legit every movement feels just hyper safe, hyper spot on, hyper efficient. And that is the way, like to save muscle tissue. It's like not more is more. It's like, yeah, getting the most out of less. So therefore you manage fatigue and manage, yeah, muscle maintenance to the max. That's often the thinking, oh, I need to do, when I diet, I need to do even more. But then you under recover. Under recovery means you lose tissue. It's the same thing if you like try to hold your strength like way too much, like having way too much emotional attachment to it. And therefore you changing execution. You're like so attached to keep that load, and you think, oh, if I would do some reps or load, I will lose tissue. But more often than not, if you try to force it way too much and you do all sorts of weird stuff, you are more likely to lose muscle mass instead of reducing the load or the reps while keeping the execution standardized. That is why it's so important to film yourself in the gym. Film yourself. This means you can truly see what is going on. Sometimes you don't film yourself, then you do, and you see like, oh shit, what was I doing all that time? Sometimes very interesting. Done. Oh shit. Alright guys, that's about it. My reps on the calf raises. That's also quite a nice burn. So that is the World Quad Dominant session. I'm doing it now earlier during the week, like last prep or last off season. No, like a half of the off season I was doing like first my hamstring dominant day, posterior dominant day. But since my hamstrings and glutes are a little bit better than my quads, I decided to, or Birdo and me decided to put quads a little earlier during the session, a little closer after the high days in a way, and closer to my 2 rest days in a row. So yeah, that is about it. And remember, like leg day is not equals leg day. It's really just like training chest or back. It's the same way of biasing quads, biasing hamstrings and glutes. So very important to have like that basic understanding of like if you change specific things, let's say on a leg press, feet lower, more quads, feet higher, more glutes, like understanding those kind of things makes a major difference in regards to like targeting your goals. So if you want to grow your quads more, makes more sense for more knee flexion. If you want to grow your glutes more, hip area more, makes more sense to target those here, more hip flexion. So that is one of the, especially with legs, quite important. Same thing with back. What bites the lats more? What bites the upper back more? And that is, one of the main things. So we are done on this one. If you watch until here, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, and any questions, anything, just write it into the comments. And we'll see you guys into the next one. All right.